There is an enigma that surrounds these places. And when I say these places, I mean the high mountains and cold deserts of the Greater Himalayas. I've been to Spiti a plenty of times since I've been living in Manali for a decade now. Yet, Spiti calls me back every time. Spiti Valley is in Himachal Pradesh and is perched amidst the Greater Himalayas, bordered by Kullu and Kinnaur. It is accessible from two main routes. One is the national highway via Kinnaur and the other, well, it's the state highway via Kullu Manali, but honestly it's 86 kilometers of pure off-roading on some of the highest roads in the world. Also, there's no network just in case you need it. I was on a trip with YOLO Life and Shresh, and together we curated a one-of-a-kind itinerary around content creation and filmmaking, and of course, tons of adventure was planned. And we were traveling from Manali to Spiti. Everyone travelled from their respective homes and reached Manali. We met up at the Corner House restaurant and from there we drove to Soil village, the oldest village of Kullu Valley. Here we stayed at Vanvas. Vanvas is literally Vanvas, a home deep amidst the forest, a 45-minute hike away from the real world. We escaped our daily routines and stepped into oblivion. We checked into Vanvas and hiked to Crystal Falls. It was a joy watching all of us become children once again, with big smiles on all faces. We spent rest of the evening by the bonfire discussing some important ethics we must follow as seasoned and learned travelers. We spoke about the leave no trace principles and understood why one must preserve the pristine surroundings we are in. We dived into a session around content creation with Shresh, a seasoned filmmaker and a traveler at heart. Everyone had traveled a long way from their respective homes, and so we called it a night in good time, as we had lots planned on the coming days. Our journey to Spiti began the next morning. We hopped into our traveler, which was going to be our ride for the next 7 days. Let me just take a moment and take you through the route we took. We went from Soil, which is near Manali, and via the Atal Tunnel, we crossed over to Lahore, and via Koksar, Gramfu and Chhatru, we reached Batal. After Batal, we started our climb over Kunzumla at 14,900 feet. After we drove down to Losar, we entered Spiti Valley. Koksar is the last administrative checkpost and also the last network point before you start your off-roading journey. Till Losar, there is no road, no network, and I feel that's the raw beauty of this road trip. As you cross over from Lahore, the greenery will start to fade away as you're gaining altitude at every turn. Since it's a high altitude cold desert with rarefied air, it can sometimes be strenuous for the body. A lot of people I've traveled with have sometimes developed symptoms of acute mountain sickness or AMS, but if you're well acclimatized and well hydrated, it should not be a problem. As we drove on the bumpy road, we saw some beautiful landscapes and drove over the Kunzum La. La means pass, and a pass refers to the lowest point connecting two valleys. So you can imagine how high the mountains around us would be. As you descend, you gradually roll into a different world. On our first day, we arrived late in the evening after a beautiful but bumpy ride and stayed at Chicham. We all were hungry and tired and had an amazing meal together and hit the bed right away. Chicham is a village tucked away in the mountains. A few years back, it wasn't really connected to Spiti. There used to be a cable trolley hanging high over the deep gorge to cross over into the village. Now we have Asia's highest suspension bridge connecting Chicham to the world. As you drive into Chicham, you'll see structures like towers which maybe look like ruins of an old fortress. These are formed by wind erosion and water channels. These formations are called aeolian landforms. After seeing Chicham from our eyes, Shresh took us on a flight to show us Spiti from a different perspective. Everyone had tons of questions regarding drones, and Shresh was there to answer them all. After exploring Chicham, we drove to Langza. Langza is home to the fossil remains of the Tethys Sea and a 35 feet tall statue of Buddha. We were traveling on 15th August, and as a tradition, on our Independence Day, the locals of Spiti indulge in a horse race at a maddening altitude of 14,000 feet from Comic to Langza. But thanks to rain in a cold desert, the race got cancelled. But nevertheless, we had tons planned and Shresh jumped right into his sessions. There was no electricity, but Shresh continued with his session on framing the shot and so much more. Right after, we called it a night. Everyone was doing great. No symptoms of AMS, and everyone was ready to have an eventful day, cycling in Spiti Valley. We started our ride from the iconic 35 feet tall Buddha statue, and as luck would have it, it was raining and windy. Our first bit was an 8.7 kilometer ride uphill from Langza to Comic, which in terms of altitude was just a gain of around 200 meters. But honestly, we made it only thanks to our backup vehicle. After the uphill, we were all tired and hungry, and so we had lunch at the highest restaurant in the world. The warm meal gave us hopes, and right after food, when we entered the Comic monastery, our prayers were answered. We saw the first rays of golden sunlight after 2 cold days. And with a sigh of relief, we all got onto our cycles and pedaled hard uphill, just to cycle down the best downhill of our lives. 19 kilometers of pure descent. What a beautiful mix of rubble, scree, slush, and also some of the smoothest roads I've ever ridden on. We all stopped over at Hikkim and sent postcards to our loved ones. It was a different feeling writing, stamping, and sending postcards in 2022. We all had the time of our lives and we cycled our hearts out with Sharan and Chetanji, who were 50 and 65 years of age, chasing us youngsters down in the best playground we could have wished for. After a nice long ride, we all got to Kaza and checked into our homestay, had a meal at one of the cafes, and just like that, another day in this beautiful valley ended with plenty of experiences to cherish and sleep over.